So I finished up Grey's Sister last night, and it was awesome. So welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Alex. Please like and subscribe if you do enjoy this content, and let's get into the review of Grey's Sister by Mark Lawrence. So this book obviously picks up pretty much immediately after or shortly after book one, which was Red Sister, where the ending of that, Nona's kind of come into her power as our main protagonist. She is learning more about the path, which is the magic system, and she killed a lot of people. So she is really becoming what this whole Convent of Sweet Mercy is meant to make you become, which is a badass female assassin. And she is still very young. I believe she is preteen, early teens in this story, and very much the characters in this world, obviously the students of this convent are young, but because of the grimdark nature of the world, they have to be more adult, so they do not read as children. This is not children playing games and going to school and becoming super badass. They are warriors. They are deadly, they are lethal, and they act like it. And while they're not necessarily talking in the most mature fashion, they don't read as children. So these are relatively grown-up characters, even though they are young. Now, this story follows, obviously, spoilers for the ending of Red Sister. Yisht had stolen the ship heart. She killed Nona's friend, and Nona fought one of the Taxuses. I believe it was Lano Taxus, who was Raymil Taxus's son. She killed both of them at some point. I don't remember the order. But she had killed them. She killed a bunch of guards. She lost her shadow, which was part of the path in the magic system. So that kind of affects her ability to walk the path. And she is a crazy assassin at the end of the book, because she just finds out these powers that she has, and she unleashes them on all these people and takes out a bunch of guards. So following that, they are hunting for Yisht in the sequel. The world continues to be grim and crappy on this planet that they live on the sheet of ice that is only livable because of the giant reflective mirror that is put up to reflect the little bit of sunlight that they get to keep this place inhabitable. Habitable. That's the word I wanted. So what Mark Lawrence did a fantastic job of in this sequel is he really builds on everything that was established in book one, and where book one was a little bit slower at times because it is trying to build that world, introduce you to these characters, introduce you to the magic system while keeping it relatively mysterious. He does a fantastic job of better explaining what the path is and how you walk the path. And while it is still somewhat confusing, and it's not something like Allomancy from Mistborn, and it's not, typical D&D style magic where you can picture things that happen, like somebody summons something or they shoot a fireball. Everybody can picture that. Walking the path is a little bit more abstract, and it's honestly kind of hard to get a wrap in my brain around what it looks like. But the way that I picture it, it almost reads to me like it's a shadow realm of sorts, that when you're walking the path, you're almost kind of separated from your body in another dimension. I don't know if that's correct, but that's just kind of the way I envision this. So he expands on that a lot, and Nona's grasping with an ability to walk the path, as it were. He builds significantly on the characters, the depth of them, their relationships in this book. So you don't only follow Nona in this book, you do get to spend more time with Zol, who is the chosen one, and Nona being her shield. They actually have a budding relationship in this story that grows a lot, and throughout the book you really see that friendship blossom, and you really get a believable friendship being built there, which I could very much appreciate. So you get to learn more about Sister Kettle and Abbess Glass, who kind of runs the Convent of Sweet Mercy. Now, both of these characters grow immensely in this story. Nona's relationship with them builds a lot as well, and Abbess Glass is a fantastic character as well. She's obviously much older than Nona and Zol and all the other female students at the convent. And Abbess Glass is a total badass. She is cold and calculating, manipulative, strategic, Just she has her shit together, man. She is a total boss in this book, and in her own rights is just she doesn't even have to fight in the way that Nona is very much a character that is driven by almost hatred and anger sometimes. Abbess Glass is just so calculated in everything that she does that she's very good at pulling strings and making things happen without necessarily just having to go into a combat scenario. This follow up really plays on themes of sacrifice, being there for your friends. I mean, Nona very much is driven. I know she's driven by certain amounts of hatred and vengeance because of things that have happened to her, but even what was built in her character in Red Sister, it really shows how much she cares about friendships and how much she really appreciates those people around her. She is desperate for connection and really being close with people. And when that's threatened, that's when the angry Nona comes out and she gets to killing. So I really appreciate that growth of her character in not only her age but her maturity, and like I said, the relationships between her and the other women around her in this story. It was fantastic to read, which leads me directly into the praise that I gave Mark Lawrence in Red Sister, his prose. That it's such a great combination of almost poetic language with very approachable writing. The dialogue doesn't feel heavy-handed. It doesn't feel overly flowery. He's not trying to impress you with his grasp of the English language like some other authors that I've read. But it's such a good blend of enough of that mixed with very approachable language that it makes the flow of the story go fantastically. That didn't make any sense, but I think you understand what I'm saying. The pacing was on point. The dialogue is great. The character interactions are believable and raw and so emotional, especially in certain parts of this book. Things get really intense. The final third of this book even is just a roller coaster. It's nonstop to the finish, and the finish of this book leads perfectly into what Holy Sister is going to be about. And while it's not on my immediate TBR because I'm trying to read some other things, I cannot wait to actually finish this trilogy because I am completely on board with it. I want to see what else happens in Holy Sister because it's a hell of an ending to set up the next book. I'll say that. I don't want to spoil anything for those of you who have not read this story, but I will just say that it wraps up in such a great way that I'm almost itching to keep going, but I'm going to hold off for now and circle back to this probably in September. So the final point I want to make about the writing style in these books is the way that Mark Lawrence does combat is just so visceral and raw, and it's very personal. This is not grand scale battles. The most that I've seen is Nona fighting maybe a handful of people at once, maybe 6 to 8-ish people or so. But most of these battles or fight scenes are really one-on-one or small skirmishes, and the way that he writes them is just so believable in this world. And like I said, it's visceral, it's bloody. I guess what I'm trying to get at is the way that he writes combat is you can picture it perfectly. Now, whereas I can't personally picture the magic system too well, I can picture exactly what he wants you to picture when he's dealing with a hand-to-hand or blade-to-blade combat in this story, and it is fantastic. Also, his world building is really improving since book one, where book one did give a good amount of atmosphere and scenery depictions and things like that. That has stepped up so well. In Grey Sister, for example, there's one scene where they're walking into this kind of, not cathedral, but this palace of sorts, and just describing what's on the walls, on the floors, and what this character is seeing around them is so well done that it really puts you in the scene. And I greatly appreciated that because at least through the second book, I feel like he grew a lot as an author and really bringing that to the forefront. So he paints a good picture for you to see and kind of set the scene of what's going on. And I absolutely love that about this book. But that's going to wrap this up. I definitely recommend this book. I don't put stars on anything anymore. I think that rating system is kind of overrated, super subjective. I would highly recommend this. I'll put it that way. If you have not picked up Red Sister, I highly recommend that you do so and watch my review right here. But this series so far has been fantastic. This is a great introduction to Mark Lawrence for me, and it really has me excited to see what else he's written. I did pick up The Girl in the Stars by him as well, so as soon as I finish up this trilogy, I will read that since it's set after it at some point, I believe. I don't know the exact time frame, but it is in the same world. Different characters, I assume. Definitely looking forward to that. But that's going to do it for this one, guys. Drop in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts on really any of Mark Lawrence's writing. If you've read Red Sister, Grey Sister, if you finished this whole trilogy, just let me know your thoughts on it. If you liked it, you hated it, anything goes. But until next time, everybody, keep reading.